Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. I thought I was done today with posting videos, but when I got this comment a few minutes ago, I had to set up my stuff again because I'm like, I gotta address this. And I'm doing this for the beginners as far as musicians. Don't listen to idiots. Don't listen to nobody that they don't know what they're talking about. There's some stuff I want to say in this video that I promised my wife that I won't, because it's not about my credentials, because I'm like, I could go there and I would like to go there, but she keeps me grounded, and that's why I love her so much. But I did a video entitled Self-Taught Don't Do It, and the title is self-explanatory. It's like this. It makes no sense, and I'm not comparing the seriousness of these the importance of these different careers. You know, are you going to you don't want your doctor to be self-taught. He read a couple of medical books. Now he about to crack open your crane and get the get to work. He has to spend 8 years, if not more, to study his craft to become good at it. They're not going to let him operate without being board certified. They're not going to let you become a lawyer and fight cases if you haven't taken the bar and went to law school. You know, so that whole nonsense. But I'm going to read this because I get this from people that are trying to defend the fact that they never took lessons, you know, and they think they're okay. And I'm like, think about this, dude. You became pretty decent on your own. Just imagine how good you would become, or good you would be, if you went and got formal lessons on top of that too. Okay? But I'm going to read this and then I'm going to give you my comment on this, because I'm going to entitle this video one of the dumbest comments I've ever heard. And I'm going to share the dumbest comment I've ever heard in my life. And it's a personal one, but it ties in well with this video. That's why I feel compelled to share this with you guys, because the person in this story, unfortunately, he passed away several years ago. So it's not disrespecting his memory, because I think he would like as many people as possible to hear this. He was a dear good friend of mine years ago. He passed away about 7 years ago. He used to be a Chicago police officer. One of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Always trying to help, you know. No one had a bad word to say about this guy. And he was married to a woman that he was in love with. He put that woman in a nice house, nice car. She never needed for anything. And what I noticed, and this is just my observation from the stories that people have shared with me throughout my lifetime, the people that are the nicest get fucked the worst. And the guys that are animals and assholes and violent, they women treat them like royalty. And vice versa. They men treat them like royalty. You know, the women that clown. But he found out, and it's kind of tripped out how he found out, and really, really sad. That's the saddest part of the story, but I'm not going to go into that. But he found out that his wife had been fucking this other dude for about a year. And then the relationship, of course, soured quickly. He ended up divorcing her. And he didn't want to, but he's like, I can't go through the rest of my life living with somebody that disrespected me on that level. Because he said he could totally understand if this guy was in love with her, she was in love with him, and they made a better couple, because that happens every day. People trade other people for other people because they better for these people that they messing with than the people that they're living with or married to. But it's still unfortunate whenever something like that happens, but that makes sense. But this situation, this guy said he had the I won't say the honor of speaking with this guy, but he spoke to him because he's like, I need to find out what's going on and why this happened, so bullets won't be flying. And the guy didn't know that the woman he sleeps, his wife was married. He didn't know that, so he said that's why he didn't trip on this guy, because he's like, hey, this guy didn't know. Now if he knew and up in my house and I'm not at home, I'm gonna bury this dude, you know. But that wasn't the case. So his wife talked to her sister, because they're close, and her sister said this, and this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. She said, in order to heal, you got to first forgive yourself. Huh? So now she's the victim? The one that stepped out on her marriage and fucking another dude, she's the victim. She has to forgive herself. And I said, I agree with you, dude. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, because that ain't got shit to do with it. You know, what it has to do with it is a woman that had a husband that thought the world of her and she disrespected him, you know. And of course, like I said, shortly after they got divorced, because he couldn't deal with that. He said it wasn't so much what she did, it was how she did it, you know. She showed him no respect. I was like, yeah, that's kind of a lot to deal with, man. And I totally feel you on that, you know, because the worst thing you can probably do to anybody, because, you know, if you get fired, you can find another job, maybe a better one. But, you know, when you start messing with people's heart, that's a whole nother level, you know. It's different again when you're messing with their money, and, of course, you can get hurt for that. But when you start messing with the heart, that's the whole nother level of evilness, you know. But I share that story to share this story, because what these two stories have in common is dumbass comments. Dumbest comments you've ever want to hear. So again, the video I did was self-taught, don't do it. So here's the guy just trying to defend that, since he didn't go get formal training. Listen, a lot of artists today want their players self-taught. Now we're just going to analyze that statement, that sentence there. A lot of artists today want their players self-taught. I've worked in professional studios for over 30, 40 years, multi-platinum studios, not my cousin's friend's basement. And this is one of these dudes that's probably worked out of basements all his life and still a professional recording studio with professional engineers, professional artists, professional musicians. It's just ridiculous, because it's like you come in there for this gig and the producer, whoever's you know, overseeing this, asks you this question. Can you read? Yeah. We can't use you. You went to school, didn't you? Yeah. No, we can't use you. We need a guy that can't read charts, and, you know, he just dabbling, don't know what the fuck he doing. You know, he can't read sheet music. He's just going to try to ad-lib through this whole session that we're paying for. Isn't that ridiculous? Yes, it is. And that's what he's implying in his first line. It's like, come on, man, really? So here's the second. I'll read it again and go through it. Listen, a lot of artists today want their players self-taught and not school musicians in different genres. Oh, really? So you want a bum off the street other than an educated man to help you with something that requires to be educated? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, it's like, dude, please, you know, you can't defend the fact that you didn't go get lessons because you cheap or just didn't want to do it. But now you're going to try to justify this whole I can't play or formal training thing. It's just, this just blows me away that somebody wants to try to make this argument. And it's a stupid, weak one. You know, who don't want somebody, in regards to what field that they are in, that you don't want them thoroughly trained and educated? Because again, you're not going to want your doctor who's never spent a day in medical school to cut your head open and go in and try fiddling around. So it's just ridiculous and absurd that this guy's trying to justify this when you can't. Self-taught has its advantages in some areas, yeah, but not this one. Its advantages in life too. I've had more problems with school players, Berkeley, in my experience. Your time is better self-taught. Well, you might have had problems with Berkeley players because maybe those weren't the players that were right for the session. So that's not them, it's you. If you're putting together kind of an R. Kelly groove, you're not going to go get jazz guys or rock guys. That's just common sense. And rock guys that are doing a rock thing ain't going to go get R&B guys, you know? So it's not the caliber and the level of education of musicians. You made a poor choice. You know, you don't bring in, like they say that term, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight, you know? Just ridiculous. And here it is, bringing it home. Your natural creativity is enhanced when you become a self-taught player. I'm self-taught. No shit. We would have never guessed that. We would have never guessed that. I'm self-taught. I can create on the spot. Not saying don't go to school. Yes, you are. You're not advocating it. It's like, dude, because again, you might be decent at the level that you're playing and you self-taught, but just imagine again how better you would be if you combined the two. If you went and got formal lessons, because you can't teach yourself what you don't know. You can't. You can't teach yourself what you don't know. And again, when you work in professional recording studios with professional artists, professional musicians, professional engineers, they expect you to do that. No one's going to sit here and wait till you try to figure this shit out when the clock is ticking and the money is being spent, you know? And it's obvious from just reading this guy's never been to that level. He's been working in his cousin's best friend's basement studio. That's a different animal. It's a different world. Yes, you can get some pretty good sounds out of home studios, but they do not compare to the professional recording studios of today or yesterday. So it's like two different blocks, dude. You know, this is the poor block and this is the rich block. And which one you want to live on, you know? But I thought I would, because I'm not even going to read the rest of this, because I mean, I think I've made my point as far as how ridiculous this is. Young beginners, stop watching YouTube videos and watching people's fingers and go get lessons, okay? When you go back and go get lessons, then what you can do is go back to YouTube and enhance what you've already learned, and you can pick up new stuff. But don't let this be the starting point of you beginning to play, because it's going to sound like it, you know? Go pay somebody, and I stress that too, pay somebody. Don't expect nobody to provide a service for you absolutely free. They don't know you, probably don't even like you, you know? That's not what a man is about. You know, back in the day, you know, when we were growing up, our fathers taught us, this is a man. He tries to provide for his family. He tries to do the right thing. He's not taking shortcuts. He wants whatever he's doing in life to be right. And he go enlist the help of others to get there. Because you're not going to get there all by yourself. You know, unless you Prince, you might can pull that off. But most of us need additional musicians to bring their creation to life. You know, so I'm going to sign off now, but I had to address this because, again, I want you guys to do it the right way. It works. It's been working for many, many years. That self-taught bullshit, when you get together with real players, they don't want to be bothered with you because you're going to drag them down and slow them up. You know, it's like, hey, you came here with me and you know what you're supposed to do and you're supposed to deliver. Instead of, I have to basically suffer as a result of your lack of inability. That's not fair to those guys. You know, it's not fair to those guys. So stop being selfish and thinking about me. Only you. I can do this by myself. I ain't paying nobody. You know, and I'm pretty good at it. You might be good, but guess what? You could be great. You know, you can be great. And I'm going to end this with this. One of my favorite YouTube channels musically on YouTube is Rick Beato. Beato. Check him out. Subscribe to his channel. Rick is probably one of the most well-versed guys I've ever heard talk about music and music theory. He can explain to you everything he does. I just watched the video last night. It was called The Hardest Complex Pop Song Ever. And he talked about how his band, when they first were starting, they were doing these sets and somebody asked them to do, the singer wanted to do this. And he said, they listened to it and it's like, we might have to chart this because some songs are real simple, just 4 or 5 chords. You don't need to write it down, or write it down, look at it and be done. Put it to the side. He said, and he broke it down. He said he showed how complex that song was, how it was changing keys in the middle of verses. I think it changed 3 to 4 key changes in one 4-minute song. And I can relate to this. He said how complex it was. He's like, I'm not even at the 50-second mark. And already we got all these chords. And in today's music, those chords within that 50-minute mark in that song could make 10 songs. Because again, the majority of the stuff now is just 2-3 chords. That's it. You know, but he said this song had tons of chords, and then it was weird chord placings, because it's like usually it's like the movement is 3-5-1 or whatever. He said it was bouncing at places where you never thought that they would end up on this chord, because normally they would always usually end up on this chord. You know, so I'm like, I can relate to that, you know. And the self-taught people wouldn't have a chance doing that song or doing it justice. They probably can do a good job of butchering it, and that's probably what they would do. You know, so again, don't listen to that nonsense, because it's nonsense. You know, dumb, self-taught, I'm all right. That's what you think. But everybody around you think different, and they laughing at your dumb ass when you turn your back. You know, don't be one of those people that you think you got it under control when everybody else in the room knows that you don't, and you're the laughing stock, and you too stupid to know that. That's all I got to say. Till next time.